It's really interesting. Basically, that is what's left of one of the pine posts. I've not really seen this before. I tried to pull it out delicately, but it's quite interesting because you can see that I haven't made that. It looks like I've made it with a knife or a draw knife or something. That's just the last bit of the core, the kind of heartwood of the pine that is survived. The rest on the outside here is rotten out. I mean, I did snap it a bit when I pulled it out, so that's why this is flaked off a lot. But it goes to show this is why you don't use pine for foundation work and foundations, because it just rots away really easily. But interestingly, that middle bit is kind of what's left of it, which is really weird but also cool at the same time. Yeah, that's oh, there you go, it's just snapped, but that is rotten to the core, as they say. But it's it smells really resinous, so there's some fat wood in here as well. If I peeled all that bark back, this outer bark, it's like orange flaky bark. There is some, you might be able to see it. There's a bit of fat wood right in there, I can smell it. Really resinous. Trying to save as much wood as possible. I'll show you in a minute what I'm doing with it, but I just figure if I can save it, then I can reuse it or use it for firewood or whatever. But this is so rotten, this frame, where it's had the turf on top, it's rotten to the core. So it's unfortunately unusable. I've just got to be careful. Otherwise that happens. So after a lot of raking, it's finally clear. The site is nice and flat, and I've raked away all of the debris, kept where I could the hazel hurdles that were on the roof, and tried to salvage them as much as possible, because I'll probably use them around the camp somehow. And then the ones that did fall apart, I basically did this. So for now I've just stored it under here. This is all the broken down bits of those hazel hurdles. The reason being is this has a tarp roof, so it's totally waterproof under here. It's not stacked neatly, but it doesn't need to be, because for now I just need to keep it dry. But this is essentially going to be tons and tons of kindling. I've got loads of sort of kindling to get fires going out here now. It's right next to the fire pit. I do need to tidy it, snap it up, break it up, and maybe put it in the store a little bit neater. But it does the job. Whenever I want dry kindling now, I can just pick it off. It's nice and dry, put it on the fire, get a fire going, job done. And I've got loads of chances to keep fires going. And then, so that's the not so good stuff. And then on the other side, and then down here, I've just got the really, really good dry stuff raised up off the ground again, just for now. It's just going to do the job. There's the old wheel. Who remembers this? The log's wedged in there now, but the old inner tyre wheel fire pit that I made with Dad probably 7 years ago now. Maybe more, 7, 8 years ago. It was in one of the old camps. We've kept it up here. It's just handy for when it's, you know, really dry weather and we don't want to have fire on the floor. We have it in here, although we've got the fire pit now. So that's all the wood that's being stored there. And then this behind me is essentially the rotten wood, the frame, the majority of the frame and the rafters that was a bit too rotten to be used for anything. So what I'll do is I take this over to the back of the Saxon house. I'll show you in a minute. And that is where I store all my kind of dead rotten wood as a kind of log pile, really, for invertebrates and things like that, and just to go back, rot back to nature, and things can burrow away and improve the biodiversity of the woodland. And that's what this is behind me. That is the remnants of leftover stuff from the Saxon house, but also the original bushcraft camp. That is the remnants of the wood. It's just a log pile. I need to tidy it a bit where I've actually used some other bits for other building projects, but that's where the rotten frame of the Viking house is going to go. One of the reasons I do enjoy coming to this woodland in the summer is the fact that I don't get any ticks here at all. There are ticks in this woodland, but not this particular area. And that is down to this. I don't know if you can see this pile, this mound behind me. That is a giant ant's nest. They're crawling all over my feet at the moment, and they are the southern wood ant, or Formica rufa is the Latin name, and they're pretty incredible. There is hundreds of thousands of them swarming over this nest, all over the forest floor, all over where the bushcraft camp is, and there's another nest 10 yards just down here. And what they actually do is, if you go near their nest, or if you go near them in general with your hand above like this, you'll see their abdomens come up and they squirt formic acid at your hands. And now this doesn't hurt me, it doesn't hurt as such, but if I put my hand over the nest like that, and I tap it, they go crazy. And you can see it, I've done it before, you can see it in slow motion. I've slowed it down and you can see them spraying the acid. And what it is it's a really pungent, not very nice smell on your hands. And that's how they deter predators like badgers, foxes and things like that. The mammals that come to try and eat them, they will spray the formic acid. Now I've got loads over me, but the great thing about these is they don't really bite. So I've never had a bite from them, even though they're crawling all over me right now. I'll show you. If I show you my feet, you'll see them crawling all over my feet. There he is, coming up my leg. There are literally hundreds and hundreds of thousands of them. There's never any ticks in this woodland because they don't really get a chance to walk across this forest floor, because I've seen these ants eating all sorts of insects where they just swarm them, and they don't get, the insects and ticks especially and stuff, they don't get enough chance to survive really. These ants just take over everything. So yeah, they do obviously bite, pinch you if you do annoy them, but I don't really get bitten by them. So, they're just a little bit tickly when they're crawling up your neck and stuff, but I don't mind. I'd rather those ants than ticks any day, because at least with the ants you just get a bite, but with the ticks you could get Lyme disease. And so this is it, a blank space, a blank canvas. I need to go back and get some planning done now to think of what I'm going to do here. And what resources I'll need. There is tons and tons of pine here. That's probably going to be the main resource that I use, because I don't need to use any of the broadleaf trees. There's just not many here in this particular woodland. It's mostly all pine, and it still needs thinning out and it still needs managing. It's very, very overpopulated, but I'm looking forward to it. It's going back to my roots. It's something that I've not done in a while. Maybe a bushcraft camp style thing, or maybe something Saxon house style. What do you guys think? What would you like to see here in this section? Let me know in the comments below, and yeah, it should be another fun adventure. And if you folks are wondering about this, it's a pretty cool thing that was sent to me probably 2 years ago now, maybe 3 years ago, at the Bushcraft show. I think it was nearly 3 years ago. It's called the Tree Pea, and it's by a friend of mine called Tim, and it's by Rough Timber. I will put it in the description below, but it's cool. It's used for lavues, Polish lavues by the way, so you can have the space inside, and we'll use that in the autumn, but obviously it just makes a tripod shape. So I've got the bank line going down there, and that goes onto my kettle, and yeah, it's really useful. I'm quite looking forward to using this a little bit more with tents and stuff. I'll link it in the description below. It's about to dump it down with rain now, so I'm going to get going. See you in a bit, folks.